you're all very welcome to this presentation on home energy savings. My name is Katie Harrington. I'm the Energy and Climate Awareness Officer with Dublin's energy agency, Codema. So I'm here today as part of Green Week to talk to you about energy saving in the home, especially now that many of us are spending a lot more time at home. But before I get started, just a bit of housekeeping. If you do have any questions, if you wouldn't mind waiting until the end, or alternatively, feel free to pop any question you have into the chat and I will go through them at the end. And of course, anything that I'm unable to answer today or get to today, if we run out of time, I will definitely find out for you. I work with an incredible team of people with a wealth of knowledge. And then also just to say, if I could ask you all just to make sure that your mics are on mute for the time being, that would be great. And as I said at the start, this presentation is being recorded. So with all of that in mind, I shall get started. So just to give you an idea of what Codema is and what we do. So we were set up over 20 years ago, and essentially our vision is for a better quality of life for all citizens through a fair and inclusive transition to a low carbon society. And in order to bring this to fruition, we act as the energy advisor to the 4 local authorities in Dublin. So we work very closely with the 4 county councils to essentially improve energy use and reduce our carbon emissions across the region. And you can see here that we work across a range of service areas, from monitoring the energy use of council buildings to energy planning. And another area that we work in is in the area of energy awareness. So that's where I come in and why I'm here today to talk to you about how you can be more aware of the energy you use in your home every day. So at Codema, we're firm believers that you don't have to be an engineer or have a technical background to understand the energy use of your home. So whether you're renting accommodation or you own a house, it is so important that you are comfortable in the place that you call home, especially even more so now that many of us are working from home and studying from home. So I wanted to include this pie chart just to give you an idea of the average energy use in an Irish home. So as you can see, space heating, so how we heat our homes, contributes the majority of energy use in our home at 60%. Domestic hot water is next at 24%, and then electrical appliances, lighting and cooking make up the remaining 16%. So today I'm going to talk about most of these areas and share some simple energy saving measures that you can take to reduce and improve the energy use in your home. So with that in mind, there's 3 main areas I'm going to cover with you today. The first topic being energy saving in the home. So, whether you're working, studying, or homeschooling, or just simply spending more time at home given the current COVID circumstances, I'm going to be sharing our top energy saving tips. Another area that I'm going to cover is reading your electricity bill and what to look out for, because I'd say the majority of us just look at the cost and don't go any further. So hopefully I'll be able to help you pick out the main things you should be aware of when your bill comes in. And just to note, whether you're someone who's receiving your electricity bill in your current accommodation or not, the information that I'll share is still very relevant because it's going to allow you to ask the necessary questions to whoever does look after your energy bills. And then finally, I'm going to introduce you to our home energy saving kit scheme that is running in almost every library in Dublin and over 100 libraries across Ireland. And it's a brilliant and very popular kit if you're looking just to get a better understanding of your home's energy use or even identify bad habits and things like that. So I'll take you through that shortly. But first, I have a question to ask you all. So I've set up a little poll here so you can answer anonymously. So I wanted to ask you, how much do you think you could save on your energy bills by implementing energy saving measures in your home? So if you want to, I've just launched the poll there. So if you want to vote, so do you think you could, save 5%, 10% or 20%? So I'll just wait for... Okay, perfect. So it's looking like 20% has won, which means that you are, so can you see those results there? Hopefully you can. And you are Correct. It's 20%. Now, obviously, this depends on a number of factors, but through a range of energy saving measures, you could really impact your energy bill. And to help you do this, we're going to take a look at some energy saving measures you can take in your home. So if you remember the pie chart that I showed you a few slides back, space heating is the biggest consumer of energy in our home at about 60%. So I figured let's start there. So a very simple energy saving measure that you can start with if you've got heating controls would be to turn down your room thermostats. So by even turning it down by 1 degree, this could save you up to 10% on your energy bill. So the optimum temperature that you're looking for in your home is 18 to 20 degrees for what we call occupied spaces. So that would be like your living room, and 15 to 18 degrees for non-occupied spaces, such as your bedroom, for example. Next, we'd recommend turning your radiators down or off in rooms that you don't use regularly. Because if you think about it, you are just wasting energy in heating up these rooms if they're not occupied. And also, if you have a wet central heating system, we'd recommend bleeding your radiators regularly. At least once a year would be a good guide. And then another tip would be to put radiator foil behind your radiators, especially radiators that are fitted to an external wall, because this is going to allow for heat to be reflected back into the room. And then something simple like moving your furniture from radiators, away from radiators, can really make a difference. Because obviously, furniture sitting in front of radiators, it may be lovely for the person sitting on that chair, but it's going to be blocking heat from radiating to the rest of the room. And then number 5, closing doors. Again, it may seem obvious, but by closing doors around your home, you can avoid losing heat to hallways or other rooms. And also just make sure to close doors to unused rooms so you're only heating the smallest possible area. And then finally, check your windows and doors around your home for drafts. If you do identify a draft, you can pick up draft excluders for your doors and windows, which are available in most hardware stores. And you can also pick them up online. But if you're up for getting creative and maybe reusing some fabric you have, you can actually make them yourself. So there are tons of YouTube tutorials on this, and it's just an inexpensive solution to try out if you're up for it. And it can really make a difference, especially in a workspace in your home where you're spending a lot of time. So these are just 6 simple measures you can take in relation to space heating. So moving on to work or study related appliances in your home. So some simple things that you could do today would be to firstly, make sure your computer or laptop is set to energy saving mode. When you're finished work or study at the end of the day, don't forget to fully turn off appliances such as your computer screens, your laptop, maybe you have a printer in your home, because they still use energy even when they're on standby mode. Also, when you're not using your appliances like your laptop or your phone charger, for example, make sure to actually unplug them or switch them off at the wall, because they still use energy even when they're not in use. And a simple tip would be to plug your appliances into a power strip. So that way, at the end of the day, you can turn all your work-related appliances off at the same time, saving you unplugging everything individually. And I know these tips may seem obvious, but I myself have been guilty of finishing up at the end of the day and just closing over my laptop, not checking to see if I've fully powered off my laptop and monitor. And I also have plugs in my home that don't have a power switch. So unless I actually unplug my power strip from the wall, it's still going to be drawing electricity if I've left my appliances running. So it's just good to keep in mind and build in as a habit. Now, moving on to home-related appliances. So spending more time at home means getting more acquainted with our kitchens. So I have a few tips to help with this area of the home. Starting with the fridge and freezer. So these appliances use a significant amount of energy, mainly because they have to be kept on all of the time. So making sure that they're running efficiently is key. And with that, it's important to make sure your fridge and freezer are at the correct and most efficient temperature setting. So that would be 3 to 5 degrees for your fridge and minus 18 or minus 15 to minus 18 degrees for your freezer. Any colder than this, you could be using unnecessary energy to cool your fridge and freezer. Again, this may seem obvious, but make sure to cool hot food down before placing it into your fridge or freezer. Otherwise, both of these appliances have to work extra hard and use more energy to cool the food down. We'd also recommend defrosting your fridge and freezer at least every 6 months or so, just to ensure that they're running efficiently. So a good guide to follow is that there should be less than 5 millimeters or half a centimeter of frost buildup. Any more than this, you need to defrost your freezer, because the more frost buildup, the poorer the air circulation and the more energy your freezer or fridge has to use to keep cool. And then another tip as well is to keep your freezer full where possible, because by doing so, it's going to use less energy. So just to explain this, so every time you open your freezer door, cold air escapes and warm air flows in. So your freezer uses energy trying to cool down the warm air that has gotten in. So when your freezer is full, there's less room for warmer air to take up, and any items in the freezer help cool down that air that does sneak in. So keeping it full means less energy used. And if you don't necessarily want to fill your freezer with food, you can use newspaper or you can fill it with water bottles. And then also just to make sure to close the fridge or freezer door if you're taking something out of the freezer, because that way there's less time for warm air to get in. And then number 4, the dishwasher. So firstly, always make sure your dishwasher is full before turning it on. If you can, try and run it at a lower temperature or on eco mode. Also, if your electricity is cheaper at night, you could try to run this appliance overnight to save on cost. And then for your washing machine, similar advice applies. Run your washing machine on full loads. This is going to reduce the number of washes and reduce water and energy use in trying to heat up this water. And running it at a cooler temperature is also recommended. So if you are currently, running your washing machine at 40 or 60 degrees, maybe try and switch it to 20 or 30 degrees. And also, another thing that's really important is if you are planning on purchasing any new home or work-related appliances, do make sure to choose an appliance at the most energy efficient rating possible. Other appliances that are very much on our radar now that we're prepping most, if not all of our meals at home, are things like our kettle, our stovetop, and our oven. So a really easy change that you can make today is to only boil as much water as you need in the kettle. So I'll speak on this again with our home energy saving kit, but it really does impact your energy use by only filling the kettle with the water that you need. And it's definitely something to consider when working from home, especially now that our tea consumption has absolutely skyrocketed. And then another tip would be to boil the water in your kettle before using it for cooking, because that's going to speed up the cooking time. Avoid opening the oven door too often when cooking, because you can actually lose about 20% of the accumulated heat in your oven by doing so. Where possible, try and cook meals at the same time to save energy. And something I've started doing, and it works really well, is turning the oven off for the last 5 to 10 minutes of cooking, just to make use of the residual heat from the oven. And another thing that you can do as well, or instead, when you finish cooking, you can open the door to heat up your kitchen. And then also using lids on pots and pans when you're cooking, because this is going to speed up the cooking time and therefore use less energy in the cooking process. And then finally, where possible, use pots and pans that cover the whole size of the cooker ring, so you're making the most of the heat coming from the stovetop. And again, at a certain time of cooking, you could turn off the rings and use the residual heat to finish the cooking. And the final area is lighting, which is not only important for the general ambience of your workspace, but it's also something to consider as part of your energy saving measures. So first things first, if possible, arrange your study or workspace to allow for maximum daylight. So trying to work near a window or in the brightest room will allow you to avoid switching on lights until it's absolutely necessary. Then making use of task lighting. So only use the lights that are required to light your workspace effectively and avoid lighting the whole room. And this may seem like another obvious tip, but making sure to switch your lights off when you're leaving any room in your home. Leaving lights on in rooms that you're not occupying is just wasting electricity, and it's going to drive up your electricity bills. You know, I grew up with an electrician as a father, and I didn't realize what an effect he'd had on me until I moved out and I found myself turning off lights after everyone in the house and being that extremely annoying housemate. But it's a really simple thing to do, and it's going to reduce your electricity usage and drive down those electricity bills. And then number 4, cleaning your windows regularly, especially the windows in your workspace. This is going to make sure that you can take full advantage of maximum sunlight, even if it is only with us sparingly at the moment. Number 5, cleaning your light bulbs and shades is a good one to add to the list, because doing so is going to make sure that you're benefiting from the maximum brightness. Avoiding net curtains and blinds because they reduce the daylight penetration of the room. And then, of course, last but no means least, switching your bulbs from traditional halogen or tungsten bulbs to LEDs. This is a great way of reducing your home's energy use, because LEDs use 1/5 of the energy of a halogen bulb. They last up to 10 times longer and can save about €7 per light bulb per year. So it's definitely something to consider. So they are just some of our top energy saving tips, but energy is one of those things that isn't very tangible, but one thing that makes your energy saving actions, like the ones I've just shared, what makes them tangible is your energy bill. So understanding how to read something like your electricity bill and knowing what to look out for is extremely important, and it's going to demonstrate the true effects of your actions in the home. So to get started, it really doesn't have to be any more complicated than knowing your account details, knowing how much you're using, how much it costs, and when you're out of contract with your supplier. So I'm just checking the chat there to make sure we're okay. So just in terms of your account details, there's really just 2 things that you need to be looking out for. The first one is your MP or N, which is your meter point reference number. And this is your unique code for the electricity connection to your house. So you'll always have the same MP or N number, even if you change supplier. And it's an important one to note because you're going to need your MP or N if you have a query with your current supplier or if you want to switch. And your account number, on the other hand, is linked to the supplier you're with, so that will change if you switch supplier. Then in terms of knowing how much you're using, so when your bill comes in every 2 months, it will show you how many units you've used. So 1 unit is equal to 1 kilowatt hour of electricity. So you can see here in this example that 235 units or kilowatt hours of electricity have been used in this billing period. So your bill will also show you what unit type you are in. So it could be a standard or a daytime unit, which would be the majority, or you might also have a night saver rate, which you can see here on the screen. So for example, if you're living in an apartment that has those glorious electric storage heaters, which is the case for me, so you're most likely on a night saver rate as well. And if you are operating on a night tariff, again, I'd recommend running certain appliances at night just to avail of the cheaper charge. So for example, putting your dishwasher or washing machine on at night. Also, the meter reading, which you can see in the second box there, can be marked E, which is the estimated reading by the supplier, A, which is an actual reading by the provider. So the ESB or Gas Networks Ireland is going to read your meter up to 4 times per year. Or it could be marked C, which is by the customer. And I would urge you, if you can, to submit your own meter readings, because it means that you'll get a more accurate bill. And then looking at the different charges on your bill. So you can see there that there's a range of different costs listed. Firstly, you should know what you're paying per unit of electricity. So we can see here that this customer is being charged just over 18 cents per unit of electricity during the day, and then 9.23 cents at night. Next, you have the PSO levy, or Public Service Obligation Levy. And this is a levy that is set by the government each year, and it's the same price for everyone, no matter what supplier you're with. So just to note that this is not a carbon tax. The aim of the PSO levy is to help fund the generation of energy. So that includes, renewable energy, but also includes generation of energy from carbon intensive fuels as well. And then you also have your standing charge, which is the fixed charge set by your electricity supplier, and this will vary per supplier. And then finally, you have VAT at 13.5%. So the PSO levy and VAT rate won't change no matter what supplier you're with, but the standing charge and the unit price of electricity will vary by supplier. And of course, we all know that we need to be taking action in relation to our climate crisis. So another factor you might want to consider is where your electricity is coming from. So is it coming from a renewable source, for example? Now, I'm not necessarily advocating for any particular supplier over another, because there are lots of suppliers and lots of choice out there now, suppliers that can supply you with electricity that's generated from 100% renewable sources. Just to note, the average fuel mix for your current supplier will be stated on your electricity bill. So it's going to tell you what percentage of, fossil fuels or renewable sources are used by your supplier. So it might be worth checking so you've got an idea. And, while some suppliers offer a specific, green tariff to a portion of their customers, many others now guarantee 100% renewable power is provided to all of their customers. So definitely shop around. And, the more people switching to suppliers who are providing 100% renewable electricity, the more the industry as a whole needs to kind of look at their infrastructure and invest further in renewable energy. And then in terms of switching supplier, the most important things to be aware of, first of all, is how long you are in your current contract with your supplier, and then when you're out of contract. And you can, of course, go to different electricity suppliers' websites and compare prices, but there are a couple of price comparison websites, which I'm sure you've heard of before, bonkers.ie and switcher.ie, where you can enter in all of your information and it's going to work out the best deal for you based on what you're looking for. I will stress, though, that when you are offered a deal, make sure to see if VAT and the standing charge are included, because if they're not, it might work out a little bit more expensive than you think. So at this point, now you have some energy saving tips and guidance on what to look out for with your energy bill. And now I'm going to briefly introduce you to our home energy saving kit scheme. So the Home Energy Saving Kit is essentially a kit with 5 tools that can help you assess how much energy you're using at home. And the great thing about this scheme is that you don't have to spend a penny to use the kit, because you can borrow it free of charge from a number of libraries across the country. And by using the kit, it will hopefully make you more aware of your home's energy use and help you identify areas for improvement. So for example, you might see that you have walls that might need better insulation, you might have electrical appliances that are driving up your bills, and so on. So just to show you what you will find in the kit, so we have a thermal leak detector, a plug-in energy monitor, a temperature and humidity meter, a radiator key, a fridge freezer thermometer, and then we also have a water flow rate exercise, and of course the user manual, very important. So today I'm going to show you 2 of our most popular tools in the kit, the thermal leak detector and the plug-in energy monitor, and I'm also going to talk you through the water flow rate exercise. So I mentioned in the space heating energy saving measures to check for drafts in your home. And this tool does exactly that. It's going to find any drafts or thermal air leaks around your house. It is a very easy tool to use because it uses an LED colored spotlight, which is going to change color when it picks up on a change in temperature. So for example, if your windows aren't sealed properly, it's going to switch from a green light to a blue light to show you that there's a cold air draft coming in. And it might switch to a red light to show you that you have heat escaping in your home. So it's really great for identifying areas in your home that need better draft proofing, more insulation, and so on. And as you can see from the picture there on the screen, I used it in my converted home office and I found both drafts and thermal air leaks. So definitely needs a bit of work there. And the second tool I wanted to show you today is our plug-in energy monitor. I think this is my favorite one out of the kit. So if you remember the work-related and home appliances that I was talking about, this tool allows you to measure the amount of electricity that these appliances use, and you can then work out the running cost of each appliance over the course of a month, 6 months, or a year, for example, depending on what you want to measure. And it's also a good way of identifying bad habits in the home. So for example, I recently did a test where I compared the amount of electricity that would be needed to boil a full kettle versus boiling enough water for just 1 cup of tea. So myself and my friend are both working from home at the moment, and we'd have about 3 cups of tea a day each, which I think is probably being quite kind. So if we were to boil a full kettle every time we wanted a cup of tea, I have another poll for you all to answer. My question is, can you guess how much we'd be adding to our energy bill? So stop, can I put this up again? Where is it? There we go. Plug it in. There we go. So do you think we'd be adding 20 euro to our bill, 30 euro, or 50 euro at the end of the year? Oh. Okay. Oh, it's nearly neck and neck. Okay, let me see and share the results. So 50 euro won by a very small percent. So I will stop sharing these and exercise that. So the answer is correct. You guys are on the ball over lunch. So the answer is 50 euro. And that's only one appliance. So you can imagine the savings that you can make by testing out other appliances around your home. And then the final kind of area of the kit that I wanted to show you is the water flow rate exercise. So this exercise essentially allows you to measure the flow rate of your water coming from your shower heads and your taps in your home. So an ideal flow rate is 9 litres of water per minute, but in many houses, particularly with older houses, the flow rate can be as high as 18 to 22 litres a minute. So in my house, I feel like I'm giving my house a very bad rep on this presentation, but the flow rate from our shower is 20 litres per minute. So to put that into perspective, again, I decided to calculate how much wasted water that would be in 1 year. So if our shower uses 20 litres of water per minute, we're looking at 110 litres of wasted water for 1 10-minute shower, which is probably being quite generous given how much time some of us actually spend in the shower. And this equates to 40,000 litres of wasted water per year. So again, to put that into perspective and into terms that we can easily understand, that's the equivalent of 114,000 cups of tea and 70,000 pints of Guinness. So not only are we wasting water, but we're also wasting energy in heating up this water. So in the kit, there's a simple calculation that you can do to work out your flow rate. And if it's too high, there's things like aerated and low flow shower heads or aerated faucets for your taps that you can buy that will help you correct this problem. And you can pick these up in a number of supermarkets like Lidl and Aldi, or you can actually pick them up online. And the whole idea is that it's going to reduce the flow rate without reducing the pressure of the water. So it's kind of a win-win. And if you are interested in borrowing a kit when things reopen again, I'd recommend checking out our map on our website, which shows every location that a kit is available. So here you can see all of the counties that are involved in the scheme and have kits to borrow from their local libraries. Our ultimate aim is to have our kits available in every library in Ireland. We're currently at 111 libraries, which is great. And you'll find this map at Codema.ie/energysavingkit. And so before I finish up, there are just two areas I wanted to draw your attention to on our website. Firstly, our Think Energy Hub. So we have tons of information and resources on this area of our website, but you're going to find our guide to home energy savings, which has a whopping 94 tips on how to save energy at home. So I only just scratched the surface in what's possible. And we also have tips for saving energy in your workplace when that eventually happens again, and more tips for saving energy while working and studying from home. So you'll find all of this at Codema.ie/thinkenergy. And then also, if you are considering, or if you have, any friends or family or neighbors who are considering investing in home energy upgrades, and kind of moving beyond the basic energy saving measures, we're launching our Ask the Expert series tomorrow. So the first conversation is with Eric Dennis from KSN Energy, and I spoke to him all about home energy upgrades because I think we felt this is a bit of a minefield, in terms of knowing where to start, what to invest in first, the grants that are available and things like that. So we talk all about that. And it's a really great conversation. As you can see, we're having quite a laugh. So if you're interested, you'll find that on our Think Energy blog or on our YouTube channel, and you'll find us at Codema Dublin. And then finally, we have all of our home energy saving kit resources available on our website. So we have videos explaining each tool. We have, as I said, our map detailing where you can pick one up and so much more. So you'll find all of this at codema.ie/energy saving kit. So that is the end of this lunchtime presentation. Hopefully you found this helpful and you now have a good idea of how to start on your energy saving journey at home. And just remember, climate action comes in many forms. The very fact that you have joined this webinar on your lunch is brilliant. So if you are interested in trying anything I spoke about today, you can find all of the information I've shared at codema.ie, and please do follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Energy Saving Kit and at Codema Dublin. And if you wanted to reach out to me directly, that's my email there on the screen. Very simple, katie.harrington@codema.ie.